Miranda MacDougall, welcome to Popternative. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm stoked.
This is exciting. Hunting Matthew Nichols. Amazing film festival run. And now people are going to be able to see it in theaters. What has that been for you seeing this kind of wave of people being able to see it? What's that been like for you specifically?
It's been, yeah, it's been very surreal. I think that, you shoot a film. We shot this in December of 2023. So a beat ago, but it really, yeah, it had, like you said, a really exciting festival run, and then the momentum just kind of kept moving forward, and we were able to swing this self-distribution wide theatrical release, which is pretty rare and something we're all really proud of. So yeah, I don't think it's really hit me that it is going to be, in nearly 1,000 screens across Canada and the United States. That's a big number. It's a lot of people, a lot of opportunities to see it. And yeah, I couldn't be more proud of this film and the people who made it. So
Absolutely. Now, in terms of, what the movie is about, it did a successful film festival run. I spoke to Mark Ian when it was doing its film festival run. There's trailers, people know kind of all about it. This kind of, documentary style with a little bit of kind of found footage. I'm wondering from an acting perspective, did it sometimes feel like you were working on like two different movies? You know what I mean? Because like the found footage stuff is its own thing, and then there's the kind of documentary stuff, or did it overall feel like one big project? It's interesting.
yeah, I did actually feel really cohesive. I think because this film largely lives in a mockumentary genre, and for those of you who've seen it, you'll know that the found footage element is it's there, and when it's there, I think it really hits. But a lot of this is both a mockumentary from like an interview setup situation, something that you'd see in any traditional like Netflix or HBO true crime doc. And then also kind of the the behind the scenes of the making of that documentary. So it felt actually quite seamless, and I think we lived a lot in that world. I think what was so acting in a found footage or even mockumentary style is so exciting for an actor because you have to be on and in it, and there is no room for error. There's no room for performance. There's no room for, several takes or coverage. We can't rely on an edit to save a performance. So you really got to be in there, and convincing the audience is, is always a goal when we're acting, and obviously wanting to live in like the truth and the motivation and objective of our characters, but even more so in this style, I think being convincing, the minute you notice performance in any respect, the illusion kind of starts to fade.
Absolutely. And it kind of also to kind of add to that, I feel like it lives in a lot of kind of worlds and subgenres because, the found footage component, the horror movie component, it's right there. And, again, some scary stuff. That's all I'm going to say. But, the documentary component, the mystery, the true crime component, all that component of it, I feel like it's interesting because you made a movie where a lot of different people that have a lot of interests, like the people that love the true crime podcast, are gonna watch Hunting Matthew Nichols. The horror movie fans are gonna watch. Those are like two separate fan bases
Yeah,
coming together. Do you think about that at all? Do you have conversations with Markin about that specifically?
we've chatted about that a lot. We were working on another EPK video, and we were like, okay, let's try to name the all of the genres that we can package this film into. So we were like, this is a true crime mockumentary, documentary, horror, found footage, prestige, drama, thriller film. And so it's been both, it's a blessing and a curse because it does attract a really wide audience. As you said, there are folks across the film loving spectrum that will resonate with this, but it's also tricky. And I think it's what made it a little bit tricky for distributors coming on board because everyone was like, what is this film? Where does it live? And I think we're so used to wanting to slot things really cleanly into a designated box. And this is a film that lives in several boxes. Um, but I think that's what makes it really unique. And I think it's what makes it so exciting to see in theaters. I think it will be really exciting to watch eventually down the line, at home, or I think that the the multi-genre-ness of it is m more of an asset than anything. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and excited to see it kind of echo throughout a few different communities. So,
Absolutely. No, that's a great word to put. Echoing is, I love that. Absolutely.
sound
It's cool. It's cool because, speaking of marketing about this as well, I also find it interesting because the movie, and we talked about this, before we started this interview and what I like to call the pre-interview.
great.
Um,
Yes.
um, it's interesting because you're watching this movie, and I feel like, you know, there are moments where you are like, while you're watching, you're half an hour in, it's established what you're getting into, right? Okay, like this is kind of like the
Yep.
mockumentary style. She's
Position,
looking for her brother,
story. Yeah.
and then things happen and it takes turns. Like you said, the found footage kind of comes in there. But I'm wondering, from your perspective, can you talk about preparing yourself from an acting storyteller perspective in regards to the buildup? Like, you get this script, and the first 45 minutes is setting everything up, right? And then it gets somewhere, and then it gets to another place and everything. What's that like, preparing for a slow burn from an acting storyteller perspective? I'm curious about that.
Hmm. I remember getting the script and immediately clicking with it. I loved the script. I thought it was so well written. Sean Harris Oliver wrote the script. Yeah, it was really easy for me to connect to. I have three brothers, so this is a story about a girl looking for her missing brother, a brother whom she really loved, and I I love my brothers, and thinking right away, like, what if something like this happened to them was an easy thing for me to attach to.
Mhm.
And so I loved the challenge immediately of playing into this documentary kind of trope that we were looking at, and I started watching. I watched so many true crime documentaries just to really study how people acted when they were on, because I kind of I had to play someone who worked in film but wasn't used to being on camera but had to be on camera in film. So I had to explore, like, what's the attitude towards that, and are there nerves associated with that? And this is talking about something that's really vulnerable, and unearthing deep feelings of grief that she has been grappling with for over 20 years. So that work was really exciting as an actor to get to tap into that. I made playlists that I thought Tara would listen to. I started journaling in character. Actually, there's the scrapbook, the journal that you see Tara holding in one of the scenes with Detective Pam Hamilton about halfway through the film. That's actually the journal that I scrapbooked, and like I collected and cut all of these like little stickery pieces and things from magazines and put that together. So I had been writing um, as Tara for a long time, and I like to do that with all the characters I play. So I would say process wise, it wasn't so different. I really love a fully fledged deep dive into every role that I take on, but there was
Mhm.
definitely a knowing in the back of my mind that we were going for this like hyper realism, knowing that it was just going to be a single camera, knowing that we would likely do, one or two takes and move on. Um, I think that just gave an added awareness to how in the moment, and how well I needed to know this character.
You are so good in this film, by the way,
Oh,
too,
thank
as Tara.
you.
So good.
So,
And it's it's really interesting because you can feel all the emotions, right? Because it's her brother. She's looking for her brother,
mhm.
and they're making this documentary, and they're trying to figure out what happened and everything. And you're with Markian, and first foremost, you know what I mean? It's a film crew trying to figure it out, the investigation hats, but she's a sister looking for her brother, right?
And
And
also I approached
that's
it. Yes,
that's all it is.
Kara
Yeah.
doesn't know that she's in a horror film. We don't know she doesn't know she's in a found footage film. Like, really, I approached this as for a lot of it was a family drama, like this is a character, this is a girl who's deeply grieving, and it's a story also about struggling, and it's about mental health, and about obsession. and what obsession really means. It's hunger. It's hunger for an answer, and what happens when we as people don't get these answers, and the mania that can ensue. So yeah, I think I took all of those things really seriously, and such as, when when you're in a comedy, you don't know you're in a comedy, so you can't play the comedy, otherwise it will read as like you have egg on your face. I think the same
Mhm.
thing goes for this, not playing at the horror of it, but just playing at the circumstances of this person's life.
Markian was the director of this. He's one of the writers, and he's also in the film with you. And I'm wondering, is there, did the mindset change when you're having kind of like actor conversations with him versus like director conversations, or are they all kind of storytelling conversations all put together? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I think that's a cool way to put it. Yeah, like they were story-centered conversations.
Mhm.
We've spoken about this a little bit, but Markian, early on, let me know that he was going to refer to me as Tara on set at all times, like from the moment I stepped on set. And I hadn't worked in that way before. That was kind of leaning a little bit more of this like all-encompassing, methody, whatever way. But we had a short shooting window. It was 12 days we did this in. So
Wow.
yeah, we really we kind of stepped into production, and didn't really get off or kind of get out of character in a way, um, for 12 days or so. So I think the conversations that we had in that period, I mean, the conversations leading up were a bit more, I mean, we both come from the theater, and we're both like total cinephiles, and we love acting, and we love whatever. So we did a lot of like collective dramaturgy around this, and character backstories and stuff. It was a really nice collaborative process. But in the moment, it was very immediate and very Markian as this kind of hybrid director actor person. And it was, I mean, easy, I think, enough for me to respond to that, because he was not only the director of this film, but he was also playing the director in the documentary. So I just had to kind of
Yes.
suspend my disbelief that no, we were just making this documentary about Tara's brother. Um, and 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 yes, this person would be telling me, okay, we're going to stand over here. We're going to actually do this part now. It felt easy enough to buy into that. So
It's funny. It's actually so funny. It's like
yeah,
Markian, the director of this film, played another director in this film named Markian, if you think about it.
exactly. Yeah. You're like a slightly like a fictionalized version of himself, but still kind of also just himself. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
the layer here. 7-layer dip of movie making, I tell you.
Absolutely. Last question before we wrap. I know how we're gonna do this because we talked about before on the pre-interview about spoilers and everything.
I
I
know.
know how we're gonna do this.
I
Okay,
don't
I'm
want to
so
get
excited
in
about
trouble.
this. No, so okay, so here's the thing. So
Okay.
there are developments and discoveries that lead your character somewhere
Okay.
where, the found footage component becomes more, prevalent and more more kind of in the middle. What's the word I'm looking for? More kind of like focused on, so to
Central.
speak,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So this involves some, pretty kind of like what just happened, kind of, oh my God, or what just happened, or what's going to happen kind of
Yep.
moments with your character.
Yep.
I'm wondering what the conversations are with everyone before filming those scenes.
Okay.
Because those are the scenes, the payoff of the film.
Hmm.
And like I said, people who are going to have watched the movie or will watch the movie, then watch this interview, are going to know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I know there are ways for you to kind of talk a little bit about it without saying what happens.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
But like, what's that like? Because that's like the most intense 25 minutes.
Yeah. So intense.
Like I was
So that
stressed.
was
You know what I
that
mean?
was the last few days of shooting. We actually shot that at the end of the film, which I loved, because I was able to have lived all of this other stuff. Even if it wasn't completely in order, it was kind of like in the archive of Tara,
Yes.
and like a lived experience, which was really cool. And then getting to
Yes.
this big, 25 or so minute section at the end. By that point, too, Markian and I had been working together, but as actor and director, but also as actor and actor. So we had such a wonderful shorthand, such a beautiful trust. Like I trusted inherently what he was doing with this story. I think he trusted that I knew Tara well enough at that time to like make decisions, and we had a bit of um there was a moment where we I felt one way, he felt another way, and we ultimately were like, okay, listen, we both are going after the same thing. I think we both know our characters well enough at this point to like do it as they would do it. And that's what we ended up doing, and I think that the section I'm talking about plays so well because of it. Um, Leading up to this big part we don't want to talk about. It's like it's a lot of cooperation, a lot of like calm in order to create that heightened sense. I think it was really important, and everyone on set did such an amazing job at making sure that that was the case. Our producers were super involved. Lucy McNulty, Sean Oliver, Markian, Matt Villeneuve, like everybody there was really responsible for creating a well-oiled machine, a professional and calm environment in which we could kind of go crazy. The stunts team, fantastic. They were so key in making me feel safe enough to kind of like just live in the character and not really have to worry about the specifics. John Clark, huge shout out. Lisa Chandler, all these amazing people behind this. So I I think the teamwork was very evident in those final days of shooting, and it yeah, it was like a really penultimate celebration of everything we had made, and to kind of like set the fireworks off in that way was I hope felt really satisfying for everybody.
Absolutely. That was perfect because,
Because I didn't
I knew
say anything
exactly,
about
well,
what
the best because
happened.
I knew exactly what you were talking about. That's why I was
Yeah.
like, yep, I know exactly what, I even know what sequences you're referring
Yes,
to.
yes, yes.
Like, absolutely. Um, I saw a lot of interviews and reviews talk about, the Blair Witch kind of component of
Yeah.
things. And I just, it's there 100%, but wanted to really talk about the craft of everything. And this was so good. But like, definitely love how like you're like, oh, Blair Witch vibes. And then, of course, the movie is, very present in this film,
Yes,
which
and
is
I think
really
it's
cool.
a love letter to that. Like, what an
Yep.
incredibly iconic film. I've spoken about this. That was like one of the first horror films I ever saw. I was quite young. I think I was like 9.
Me too. I was so scared. I got so
So
scared.
scared and so convinced. And I think it really influenced like how I thought about films and filmmaking in general, because I was really into watching a lot of like films I shouldn't have been watching when I was very young. My dad's a huge cinephile too, so he was like, "Okay, you know what time it is? It's time to watch Apocalypse Now. I don't care if you're 8." Um,
Yeah.
but I think just how that film was able to ask its audience to really go on the ride and suspend their disbelief. And also being made in the late 90s, obviously it was easier to do that. And we are paying homage to that in a time when with the internet and social media, it's easier to do a quick Google search and find out that there we are actors and not, real people experiencing this. But
It's true. Yeah,
but what we
absolutely.
are asking though is for people to like go on the ride and take the journey and suspend your disbelief for 90 minutes to, hey, a month if you want to play along or whatever it might be.
I still
So
can't unhear that scream at the end of Blair Witch. Like with the whole ending, I still can never unhear that. I can hear that right
I
now.
know.
And it's like, you know what I mean?
It's so
It's
scary.
Well, I cannot wait for people to see Hunting Matthew
Thank
Nichols
you.
because I love this. Easily one of my favorite, films of the year. Easily,
That means
hands
so
down.
much. So much.
So good. Miranda, so great chatting
I
with you.
know,
Thanks
it's
so
so
much for your time.
great. This has been so fun. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hunting Matthew Nichols is going to be in theaters starting April 10th in North America. A lot of opportunities for people to check it out, which is going to be really cool after an amazing film festival run.
Yes, please.
A lot of cool, Film Quest, Whistler, Blood in the Snow,
Mhm.
did a fantastic run, and now people are going to be able to finally see it in theaters, which is the perfect opportunity. It's such a cool, big screen movie. I
Yes,
can't wait for
could
people to
not
see
agree
it.
more. Please support indie film. Let's get more movies like this in theaters. We're so excited.
Support indie film, support indie Canadian film.
Yeah, heck yeah. There's so much
Absolutely. Your Instagram
love
account is
about
just your name, right? If people want to keep
my
updated with
Instagram.
everything. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
Miranda MacDougall.
it's at Miramac,
Perfect.
MIRAMAC.
Awesome. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Miranda MacDougall, who plays Tara Nichols in Hunting Matthew Nichols, and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.